Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Boston Straight Shooters. I'm one of the hosts for the evening, Steve, aka Negative Ned. The other co-host tonight is Kevy Kev. Frank is unavailable tonight, so we're gonna have to try and hold down the fort for him again and see what we can do. We have plenty to discuss, so should be uh, should be an entertaining show to say the least. Kev, how you doing?
I'm good, Steve. What's happening? How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
All
Hanging
right.
in there. All right, now. We have a whole boatload to discuss. We are going to start with the Patriots, coming off another disappointing loss to the Rams this week. Another game that was a winnable game.
Wasn't
And
disappointing. What's expected?
well, what was disappointing is they were in the game. That's the disappointing part is that it's again another game that was winnable for them that they were in near the end at least. Uh, and that's the part that's frustrating is like they're getting close
No,
and they're
no,
getting they're
Steve.
getting pasted. Well, listen, when it was 28-13, nobody thought it was going to be close. I didn't either, but they had a shot,
Nope.
and they're not getting it.
You know, Frank and I go through this often. I know he's such a fan. He loves his Patriots. I do too. We're longtime fans. We go back, from to the early '70s and stuff, watching football, going to the games. Um, he's really invested in, and he gets upset, gets angry to a
I do
point to
too.
where like, what's going on? I stopped I stopped getting frustrated like that because it'll wear on your health. And these guys that are getting paid so much money to flop around and do the shit job that they're doing, excuse me, but they are. I mean, why do why bother get frustrated? I I don't anymore. I know what they need to do. I know what they need to fix. I know how bad this looks. It's atrocious. So I'm not going to be heart invested into this to where I'm getting stressed out and frustrated and yelling at the screen and all that kind of. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not doing it. It seems like they don't care enough to freaking change it and freaking stop me from being so animate. So
Well, I think they're trying. I think the problem is that just the lack of talent is constantly catching up with them and
hmm.
um, causing them to be behind where they should be. I think that they should be a little bit further ahead of where they are, but the mistakes are
I
killing
don't
them.
know.
The mistakes. There's just too many mistakes. Um,
At the
they,
beginning of this year, I gave them 3 wins for the whole season.
correct. I remember.
Started off with one, but I said, you know what? No, no. There's a couple of games that they could sneak up and catch guys sleeping. So they got their three. I think that's it. Don't get excited about anything else good happening. It's just not in the card for us this year. It's okay.
Well, listen. I'm gonna bear with me for half a second here while I try to navigate this. I'm having obviously technical difficulty as usual. Uh, I would say, look, early on in the game, they had a chance to go up 10-0. They're in Rams territory at the 32-yard line. And again, another stupid 5-yard penalty took them out of field goal range, and they were forced to punt. So instead of trying a 55-yard field goal because that end of the field, the wind was too bad and the kicker was missing them in practice, they didn't want to risk taking the chance. And so they were forced to punt. And then right after that, the Rams come down, right down, touchdown, tie it up, another touchdown, 14-7. Uh, and then I think they got a field goal or another touchdown near the end, and then they came out and they got the ball first, and they come out and they got another touch. I'm like, the guys, they just can't. You just can't have the penalties that they have, and that are killing them and shooting them in the foot.
Yeah.
Um, so between that and the defense was atrocious in the second quarter and the early part of the third quarter. Like the first half of the third quarter, they were terrible. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. They couldn't stop a cold. They couldn't do anything. And extremely frustrating. That one pass to Cooper Cup that went for like 80 yards or whatever, that was a blown coverage. And Puka Nakoa, the other guy on the other side, was torching them all game long, and no adjustments. The coaching,
Bingo.
you have, yeah, you got to get on the coaching a little bit and say, hey, wait a second, Demarcus Covington, what were you doing? I mean, how come you didn't make any adjustments and at least they weren't doing single coverage. They weren't doing man-to-man coverage on these guys. And so you didn't have Gonzalez, who's your best shutdown guy, covering either one of those two wide receivers. And you can't put, they should have had Gonzalez on Puka Nakoa, and they should have had whoever it was. They should have had whoever it was covering Cooper Cup and double covering them. And then that way there, you got three guys covering two guys, and you're not letting their best guys beat you. And that's one thing that Belichick would always do, is he would always take away their best players and say, okay, beat me with your tight end, beat me with your running backs, beat me with this. No adjustments. That's wicked frustrating. So, uh, what's your thoughts on like the defense, like like where they're at?
It's a shame to look at it, Steve. How do I say this without being so ugly cynical about it? I guess there's no way. Sorry. So anyway, I guess what I have to say is I know what they are. I know where they're at. They're not good right now. They're not going to be good. I don't have faith in them to be any better than they are right now. I really don't. So until they make those significant changes, what we're going to be looking at is this type of frustrating play week after week. I don't see it improving, especially with the schedule. Have you seen the rest of the schedule? Forget about it. It's
No, I haven't taken a look at it. I know that they have Miami this week coming up. They have the Colts at some point. They have Buffalo twice. I know that. They have what, 3-8? 3-8. Yeah, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. They have 6 games left. So you got Miami, the Colts, Bills twice. That's 4. I don't know who the other two are.
I think
I
thought I saw Baltimore, maybe. I'm
Oh,
not sure.
geez, forget it. They'll get killed
I'm
against
not
them.
sure. See, so
They got no shot if they play them.
I'm just looking at it like it's a wrap. It's a wrap. We've talked about this earlier in the season. Uh, I think we disagree upon it, but Mayo, I've seen what I need to see in him, and I don't need to say anymore. We've been watching this Patriots team for 30 plus years. I don't need to say anymore. I've seen what I need to see with this dude. He's not it. He's not the guy. And until we change him, and we make some changes on the line, definitely needed, and we start spending some money, which Mr. Kraft would be willing to do. I think he even can overspend at times. He just wants some winners in here. So I think that until we make those significant changes, forget about it. It's a done deal for it. You're going to be frustrated a lot. Frank, I already know that dude's going to be, yo, come on! Did you see the guy? I was like, why are you getting upset? You already know this. You already know what's going on. So
It's funny when I'm watching the game. My wife is in the kitchen and she thinks I'm yelling at her. I'm yelling at the TV because I'm yelling at them. Get him, wrap him up. Don't let him do that, but whatever. And I
I
mean,
used to do that.
I understand there's going to be a lot more of that
Yeah,
based on the talent level and so forth. Uh,
yeah, I used to do
I,
that.
I hate to break it to you, but I I understand where you're coming from as far as them getting rid of the coach and not being improved until they do. Excuse me, until they do. But he's definitely going to be back next year. I think Van Pelt's going to be back next year. And I think
Well,
the reason that they're going to be back is because of the way that they're developing Drake May. Uh, I don't think they want to give him a new offensive coordinator again in his second year. And if he continues to show promise and uh, being on the rise up, I don't see how. Listen, I said at the very beginning, Mayo needs 3 years because when you rebuild, you got to give him a shot to see what he can do with talent. I mean, they're devoid of real talent, and let's see what they can do. Now, maybe you're right. Maybe and I've heard the sports radio guys like he's not the guy. They got to get rid of him. They get rid of Van Pelt, especially after today or yesterday when he came out in the press conference. Van Pelt did,
Mm.
and Marcus Jones. He didn't know that Marcus Jones uh, made some plays on offense. Had no clue. And so they were like, "How do you not know about that? You've been in the league for X amount of years and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "What do you? I don't know. He's in Cleveland or he's in wherever. How's he? Maybe he's not paying attention." But
Mm.
I think that this coaching staff is coming back at the end of the year,
Shame.
unless they get.
Samo.
Well, they would have to get a guy like Ben Johnson, who's like one of the new, offensive guru guys, and bring him in and blow everybody else out. I mean, that's the only way I could see them doing that.
Mm.
So until they decide to do something like that, I think we're stuck with these guys for at least one more year, and we got to pray that they actually spend money and get decent guys. I mean, look, they're going to spend money, I think, because they have to. Uh, whether it's T. Higgins or Debo Samuel or somebody, they're going to have to get a number one guy, a true number one wide receiver guy.
Mm.
And the line, as much as I've hopped on it, there isn't going to be anybody really available in free agency. So your best shot is probably through the draft. And maybe a few of the guys that they've brought in recently, Ben Brown at center, and a couple of the other guys that have been mixed matching in and out of there. Hopefully those guys. And you got Cole Strange coming back too, and David Andrews coming back next year. So listen,
Yeah.
they should have. I'll tell you what, they should have Cole Strange, Andrews, and Uwenu. Those three guys alone should solidify the line. And then if you can find a place to put Ben Brown on that line somewhere, put him at guard and shuffle Uwenu over and give him a whole training camp to learn tackle. I think what happened is they kept putting him at guard, and then it was like this week, we need you to play right tackle. Then he looks like crap. Oh, we'll put you right back at guard. Then he gets used to that. Oh, we need you to tackle again. Like you can't shuffle him around like that. Put him in one spot and leave him there.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves a tiny bit. What are your thoughts on Drake May's play so far? Throw away, forget the interception at the end of the game because he's a rookie and he's going to make mistakes. But other than that,
Yeah. No, I
what did
like
you
his,
think? What did you think about how he played Sunday?
I like his aggressiveness. Um, and I like his memory. The fact that he can make a bad play one time, but he comes back with a renewed vigorance, and he almost like he forgot about that. Just keep it moving, and he shows flashes of like this kid's gonna be special. He could be special, but right now he's playing with broken chess pieces. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to line everybody up and get them where they need to be and play this game the way that it's supposed to be played. It's not his fault. So um, I like him. I think he's showed good flashes of what could be. So I like him for the future. It's just that he doesn't have the tools that he needs around him. And yeah, they need to do something about that, but they're not going to anytime soon. So it is going to be what it is right now, just how it is.
It's frustrating to watch the miscommunication on that last interception between him and Pop Douglas. So he thought that Pop was going one way and Pop thought he was going another way. And
Yeah.
you know, when you have young guys that are in their first and second year and they haven't had enough time to gel, that's going to happen. I think that over the course of the rest of the season, they'll rectify some of that. To your point, I don't see Drake May repeating the same mistakes. Uh, he's got pocket presence. He's got leadership skills, leadership abilities. He does, bad play, forgets it, let's go, move on to the next
Yeah.
play, so on and so forth. Right. Uh, and one of the things that I heard last week, he asked to speak in front of the team, and they let him. And so a lot of guys that, even though they're not playing, like David Andrews, came on, like Zolak and Bertrand on sports radio and said, "Hey, look, that's a big step for him, and the guys are going to rally around him and so forth." So that's definitely encouraging. That he has that. He has. I'm not going to say Tom Brady, but the guys that are really good, they have that leadership quotient. Um, they can rally the guys around them, and hopefully uh, we'll get to see more of that with better pieces next year. I just like too that despite them falling behind, they didn't quit. Remember a few weeks ago that the coach called them all soft, and so if they had really quit, the score could have been 35-13 or 42-13 or whatever. And they didn't quit, and they had an opportunity. But again, in the end of the game, uh, I was frustrated that there was no hurry up offense. The clock is ticking down, tick, 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 and then
Right.
Bozo, freaking Alex Van Pelt there, 3rd and 1, the clock's ticking down. He calls a run on 3rd and 1. They get stopped. I'm like, what are you calling runs for? I'm like, dude, you got to get first downs. You got to move the ball. You're running out of time. What are you doing? Like, some of the play calling is frustrating. Some of the fact that near the end of the game there's no hurry up is frustrating.
Yeah.
Uh, so you know,
Well,
I know.
I told you, they gotta go. They gotta go. But okay, I get it. I get it. A lot of people, not just you, are feeling like, no, listen, we got to give him a chance. Give him the right pieces, see what he can do, because he's like a player's coach. So we want to give him the shot to do what he can do when he has the right pieces. But like I said, for me, I've seen in him what I need to see if he's the guy to move us forward. And for me, he doesn't. He doesn't check those boxes. And Van Pelt, I I wasn't a fan of him from the beginning, but I was like, well, maybe they know something that I don't know. Who am I? And so
So Frank asked me this last week, and I'll ask you since you weren't on. Uh, do you think Alex Van Pelt deserves any credit for Drake May's development so far? Frank said no
mm,
way, because he didn't. He doesn't want to give Van Pelt any credit at all. I gave him a little bit of credit, so I just wanted to know what you think.
well, I think that he says the right things to Drake to give him uh, hope, that confidence that's needed or whatever, but he doesn't follow through with the right play call. He doesn't follow through with uh, his job, basically.
The play
He,
calling is definitely suspect or in question, but it's a more matter of, you know, how is Drake May playing? Is his footwork getting better? Is he seeing the field? Is he making the right calls? Some of that stuff. And Frank
yeah,
was like, well, all the plays are all broken, so he just makes up for it with his legs and, this and that. And I'm thinking, like, I think he's got to get a little bit of credit. I mean, he was in Cleveland last year, had 5 different quarterbacks, right? And got the most out of every single one of those guys. Usually if you're on your 3rd string quarterback, your season's over. They were on their 5th string quarterback and made the playoffs. So
mm,
I think in some cases, in this particular case, he's got to get a tiny ounce of credit for developing Drake May, and the fact that they didn't rush him earlier on in the year. I think that he's got a quarterback coach, so who gets the credit? Alex Van
mm.
Pelt or the quarterback coach? I mean, one of those two guys has to get a tiny smidgen of credit.
I give it to the
Uh,
quarterback, because
okay.
I remember earlier, well, before the season even started, we were looking at this kid in practice, and he was doing things in practice that people go, "Oh, Flats, you see that no look away pass that he did?" No, they were looking at everything that he was doing pre-game stuff and saying, "Yo, he shows some flashes of some grit, some style, some, like, he got some goods with them." But again, I don't think that Van Pelt is pulling those things out of him. He encouraged them. He said the right thing to say, hey, you're doing good, stay in there, but he's not coaching them well. He's not coaching them well. So that's just me.
All right. What are your thoughts on this week's game against Miami?
That's a done deal. It's a done deal. 3 wins. They're at their 3. They got their 3. This is it. That's
I have to agree because now they have Tua back, and they lit the Patriots up the last time down there.
yeah.
I don't hold out hope now
Well,
that they can keep it close.
I don't know. Not enough.
The
Not
defense
not
still
anymore. Not even for
no.
the Colts game that you said that they're gonna. Nope, Colts are gonna even get them. Colts.
I think they have a shot at the Colts because the Colts game is here at least. If it was on the turf, I'd say no. If it was in the dome, but here I think they have a legit shot. That team doesn't scare me. Anthony Richardson doesn't scare me. And if I had to
It
pick
sure does.
between him,
They don't scare
if I had to
anybody.
pick between Drake May and Anthony Richardson, I'd take Drake May.
I like Drake May, but the team's not ready. We're just not
I
ready.
know, I know. All right,
No.
let's move on. We got to watch the clock. I'll make a feeble attempt at watching the clock. We're probably still going to go over. We'll try not to. Now we're going to talk about the Bruins. Big, huge news there with Jim Montgomery getting fired.
Yeah, too bad.
Uh,
Nice. Everybody liked him. All the players liked him anyway. He's a good guy. It seemed like a good coach, but
so do you think he deserved to get fired or no?
I don't think they should have fired him. I don't think it was his fault. I mean, it was even the players. Who was it? Marchand that said it. He was like, this is on us. This is his getting fired is because of us, our play on the ice. Not because of him. They all seem to like him, but
Well, why didn't they play for him then? If that's the case, it always comes out afterwards like, oh, it was our fault. We didn't play right, blah blah. But when he was there, you didn't do nothing. So I
I
don't
know.
understand the logic. I don't get it.
I don't either. But he's gonna go someplace else. He's gonna go to what? Maybe Detroit. Detroit is kind of thinking like we could use that guy. So
I
if he
already
goes
heard
to
that they were in
Detroit,
the
he's
hunt for
gonna
him. Yeah.
he's gonna torture us. They're gonna come back and haunt us.
Hmm. Right. So uh, I'm gonna look at um, a few things that kind of caused his demise, so to speak.
Hmm.
Uh, they're like 28th in penalty killing, which is horrible for them. Their defense has been horrible. They're dead last in power play. I can't remember the last time I saw the Bruins dead last in power play. So there's a definite they need to call up National Grid and get the power restored in the powerless play. Okay, uh,
Hmm.
and they just looked lifeless in too many of the games. Too many of the games, especially when Swayman was in net. For some reason, they just looked like they weren't interested in playing those particular games. And when he was in the net, they were giving up 7, 5, 6, 4, like a boatload of goals. 12 goals in 2
Yeah.
games is horrible. And they just looked uh, disinterested. They weren't. There was no effort. There was no skating. It looked like they weren't even trying. And I don't know if the coach lost the locker room. Is why. I also saw yesterday on NHL Network, Billy Jaffe, who covers the Bruins post game and stuff, said that during training camp there was like malaise over the team, and they weren't sure if the Jeremy Swayman holdout was part of that problem. And then yesterday, when Don Sweeney spoke, he spoke kind of about the same thing. Like there was something off about the training camp. They saw it from the beginning, and that makes me wonder why or how over the course of training camp, the exhibition season, and the start of the season, nobody could rectify it. Uh, something sounds off. Uh, what do you make of that?
I can see where they might feel that way. But again, I have to revert back to what I was saying just a moment ago. Um, I don't know if he was. I don't know if he wasn't pushing the right buttons for them to get them up, but uh, I think that they're gonna they're going to be probably looking at it like, oh, we messed up. We messed up because we had a good guy here. We had a good coach. Um, I don't know. It's a tough one. I think that they know they messed up. I think that
So,
they have to take the weight on their shoulders on for this one.
so let me mention this too, because maybe this was part of it. Uh, Jim Montgomery was looking for a contract extension because he wasn't signed after this year, and the two sides couldn't get a deal done. And so, do you think the players tuned him out, so to speak, because they knew he was kind of like in lame duck situation?
I can see that. I can definitely see a little bit of that happening. I don't know what the whole matter is where they just tuned him out. Like you're right. I think he did lose the locker room, but it sounds conflicted because they really like him. He's a good guy. They didn't not want to play for him. They just didn't play for him. Does that make sense?
So, next question. Yeah, I know what you're saying. So then the next question would be, is it possible that the Swayman thing got too much in the way?
I think
And
so.
I mentioned this during my negative net rant the other day that, typically when the players hold out and then they end up getting the money bag, players are usually happy because that means other guys are going to have opportunities to get big contracts. It feels to me almost like maybe some guys begrudge him for holding out and for going after the money because maybe they're there longer and they're not getting paid as much, or they've they've had more service time than him, or whatever the case may be, right? So is it possible that the players weren't playing for him, and somebody was asked yesterday or today by one of the 98.5 guys that writes for the Bruins. They asked one of the players, and he's like, "That's absurd. It's stupid. I never heard of that." No, no. But I just wonder if they took it out on him somehow, or somehow, uh, Jeremy Swayman himself is causing his own demise by being soft because he's
Yeah,
still butthurt.
but
He's still
but
butthurt over the negotiations. So how much longer does he have to stay butthurt before he starts playing more like an $8.25 million goalie and less like an $8.25 goalie?
I hear you there. Well, but this is the era that we're in, Steve. Everybody's, me, me, me. I should have this. I'm entitled to this. I want to get mine. I mean, it's always been everybody wants to get paid. They want to do what they got to do for the, what's best for their contract and their family and his life. I get that, but he was nickel and diamond over like what is it, a million? He was squabbling over, and
It was
it's
close. It was
hard to
something
look
like,
at.
yeah. Go ahead.
It was a million something that he was, and they're squabbling over that, and it's hard to look at some of these guys that make millions of dollars, whether it be 7, 8, 4, 10, whatever. They're making some millions of dollars per year, and you're squawking about it. You're crying about it, and the rest of the guys, maybe the locker room, are saying, "Listen, we just want to win. If we get the guy in here, we get some stops, and we can do this. We'll play for him." But they weren't even. It doesn't seem like they're playing for
That's
him.
what I was trying to say. I was wondering if he himself, uh, with his actions and still being, butthurt, so to speak.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're still that hurt now, 20 games into the season or 10 games into the season or whatever it is, why did you sign the contract? Right?
Mm.
Do you want to be here or not? Right? All you were looking for is to just get the money. That's it. I mean, like I said, he's got to toughen up. I mean, Mr. I went to business school in Maine nonsense. It's a business. At some point, you have to realize, even though you're a young guy, that you're in a business, and
Mm.
the team. It's not the team's job to just cater to you and throw you piles of money. Now,
Mm. Yeah.
you can cross any
Don't
sport
say
you want.
anything bad that's going to hurt my feelings.
Right.
I
So
can't say
that's
anything
why
that's
I
going
was
to hurt their
saying,
feelings.
that's why I was saying, listen, this is Boston. This is a lunch pail town. You just a blue collar area here, and you can't be all soft and butthurt and like I said, you want to go. You know, maybe he needs a leave of absence from the team because of this whole new mental health stuff that they got going on. Maybe he needs to go
Mhm.
into a dark room with Aaron Rodgers somewhere and get in a quiet room
Hmm.
or go in a safe space and clear your head for 2 weeks and come back. Do you remember in the '90s when they did that with Troy O'Leary? He was having some kind of personal issues, and they basically gave him 2 weeks off and said, "Okay, go." They put him on the DL and they said, "Go fix your issues and blah blah," and then come back. When he came back, he
Yeah.
was better. I would not be shocked if that was the case. Where and you know what, he didn't get the start tonight, which kind of surprised me. They went with Corpusalo. So
Hmm.
listen to me. There's a lot to fix there. And if I was the coach, the new coach, Sacco,
When
go ahead.
you keep dropping out, Steve, where are you at?
I'm not dropping out. I'm right here. Hold on. Well, I can't see it on here. I see you kind of like freezing up a little bit. You can't hear me? Can't see me? Did I lose you? Let's see. Can you hear me now? Yeah. All right. All right. He's dropping out. Kev's gonna drop out and come back in. Let's see. Let's see if that fixes the issue. So as I was saying, long story short, um, when you have a guy like Jeremy Swayman who's you know butthurt, so to speak. Listen, that has to get rectified. And like I said, if I was the coach, either Jim Montgomery or Joe Sacco, and maybe they had these conversations, or maybe they didn't. But if I was the coach, hearing something about the guys in the locker room didn't want to play for him or whatever, that kind of stuff. Team meeting in the locker room. Listen, whoever has the issue with Jeremy, you guys need to go in a padded room, duke it out, fight it out, figure it out. And once you do, we're done and we're playing hockey. And Jeremy Swayman, I call him in the office and say, look, what's the deal? Are you still butthurt? You can't be. Get your head screwed on straight. You need a couple weeks off. We'll give it to you. Do what you got to do. But you know, you're making the big bucks now. That's what you wanted. You wanted to be the number one guy. You wanted it, in the playoffs. You wanted to be the guy. Uh, you proved that you could be the guy. So we're, you know, not upset to re-sign you. We want you here. You're here. You're here, and you got money. No, maybe you didn't get what you wanted. Sorry, you didn't get 10 million. Can't help you. Get yourself screwed on straight, and then let's get back to playing like the way you know how to play. That's what I'd tell him. Uh, as for the rest of the guys, and so look, I think it falls on the. I think some of it does fall on Don Sweeney, as I mentioned before. The way that he constructed the roster is not that good. It's not as good as it needs to be. And then after that, look, like I said, it was kind of like Jim Montgomery trying to make filet mignon out of chicken salad. I mean, his hands are kind of tied, and the whole salary cap thing has them tied up, and you know they didn't get enough scoring, and I don't see how they could have. The guys they did get, Elias Lindholm, the center, and Zadarov have not panned out so far. Lindholm's been pretty much invisible. He scored one goal. His last goal was scored in October, a month ago. It's not going to cut it. And so, it's what Kev was saying earlier. It falls on the players, and they have to take accountability now. It should be on them. And if they still play like crap, then you got to trade them. You got to start trading some guys away. And that means, already Don Sweeney probably knows his job is on the line if they don't make the playoffs. but he can't sit around and wait for them to be in the same spot 20 games from now. You're probably talking about a 10-game window tops for them. Like if they lose 5 out of 6 coming out of this, somebody's getting traded. If they're 500, it's better. So maybe I would still explore trades, even if they're 500, even if they're 8-2 in the next 10 games. I would still be, calling around and trying to do something to shake up this locker room because these guys underperformed. These guys caused Jim Montgomery to get fired. And then after the guy gets fired, sit there and say, we lost a good guy. We liked him. But that's great after he's gone. But when he's there, you don't like him. You didn't play for him. You tanked or whatever you did. I still don't get the logic there. The players are getting a free pass to an extent, and they should not be. And so I've already been on here every week pretty much. Brandon Carlo, he's the first one on my list. He's had a horrible year for a guy that's 6'5", 220 or whatever. He plays like my size, 5'6", 200. I mean, he's got to be better. And he can be better, but I don't think he's gonna. I don't know. You got to do something that's a wake up call for these guys. Where Brandon Carl's getting traded, or it's Trent Frederick, or whoever. I mean, they got to do something. You just can't. They just can't sit around and think that it's gonna fix itself because it's not gonna work. So I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. I mean, the little bit I saw in the first period of tonight's game, the skating was definitely way better. Their effort was better. They were getting shots on net. Defensively, still need some work, obviously, but I think the effort was there, and so that's a step in the right direction so far. And we'll have to see how it goes. But you know, this is it for these guys. I mean, look, you gotta. They should be a playoff team, even with a little bit of a lack of scoring talent. Their defense should be good enough overall. Overall, the defense and the team, they should have enough. They should be good enough to make the playoffs. They, like I said, I've said to Frank a number of times, they should never not make the playoffs. It just shouldn't happen, and they should be figuring out whatever it is they got to do to make it happen. I don't care who you trade now at this point, other than Pasternak. I've heard the sports radio guys are like, everybody's available, everybody's up for trade. I don't care who it is, and if you want Brady Tkachuk from Ottawa, you have to trade Pasternak. So be it. I don't really want to do that. I don't want them to trade Pasternak. I know he's had a bad year so far, but he's a 40, 50 goal scorer. Those guys do not grow on trees. I don't care how good Brady Tkachuk is. He's not a 40 goal scorer in my opinion. He won't. He may give them more of the mucking, the leadership that Matt Tkachuk gives Florida. He's the captain in Ottawa. He'll provide some spark and some grit. I don't know if he's a 40 goal scorer. I'm frustrated at the fact that people just want to take Pasternak and just throw him away like he's nothing. And I'm sorry. I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but the Bruins have pretty much ruined or traded away most of the 40 and 50 goal scorers they've had over the last probably 20 to 30 years since Cam Neely. They ruined Joey Juneau back in the 90s. They traded away Phil Kessel, 35 goal scorer. They traded away Tyler Seguin, 40 goal scorer. They traded away Joe Thornton. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm tired of them looking at a guy that doesn't play defense as good as everybody else, but he scores 50 goals. And then they're like, well, he just doesn't play defense. So, we got to throw him away and get, a bag of pucks. The Sagan trade, I mean, I don't even remember who the hell they got. Louis Erickson and whatever. I mean, just not good. It's not going to be good enough. You have to draw the line somewhere, and I've already said it. I've gone on record. I'm going to go on record again. If they trade David Pastrnak, I'm never watching the Bruins ever again, unless, and I'll amend this a little bit, unless he's 35 or 36 years old and he's on the back nine and looks slow and washed up, then fine, you might not have a choice, and he'll be on the back nine, and it's like send him to a team that's a cup contender, whatever. All I'm saying is right now, if they trade David Pastrnak, I'll never watch the Bruins again. Period. I don't care what they get back in return. Uh, you can't do it, and I'm not going to be satisfied if they do. But they do need to look at trading some guys and shaking up this roster, regardless of the new coach, because they've gotten too comfortable and too complacent with where they're at. Like Don Sweeney said, they think they're just going to show up and it's going to be easy. They don't realize, it's humbling and you have to work. So we'll see. His butt's on the line, so he's definitely in line to be fired if they don't do something. So uh, that's it. That's it for the Bruins. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to the Celtics. I wish Kev was back. I don't know what happened to him. Fortunately, we lost him, and so uh, I noticed that they over the last week they beat Toronto in overtime. They had a big lead in that game, uh, or did they? I got the wrong game. I don't remember what the lead was that they had, and or even if they had the lead. But what I do remember is they were throwing up the threes and they weren't going in, and they were still close. And actually, I think they were down by a lot, if I remember correctly. Now I think they were down by a lot, and they had to come back to tie it up to force overtime. And so they took 99 shots in the game. They made 44 of them, which is 44%, which is decent. But the alarming numbers to me is 61 of those 99 shots were 3-pointers, and they only made 21 of them. So they made 34% of their 3-pointers. And so when you shoot 61 3-pointers, more of them have to go in. Like 25 or 26 or 27 have to go in. You can't shoot 34% in a game like that when 2/3 of your shots are threes. More of them have to go in. And this is we've been hopping on this and hopping on it and hopping on it. We're going to keep hopping on it because Joe Mazzulla has already came out and said that the attempts are more important than anything else. And all these numbers and these analytics and whatnot all bear out the numbers and so forth. And I'm not seeing it, and so it's frustrating when guys are having an off night, and they're still throwing them up. It should be, and it's hard when they're all off, and nobody's making any. Used to be, okay, one guy's got the hot hand, find a way to feed that guy the ball. Well, now he's getting double teamed. He's not getting his shots off. Somebody else has to make those shots. They don't make them. And again, it's early in the year, so it's not, do or die, a catastrophe, and like Frank said, sometimes they may get bored because they're so good. Let me see if I can do this. Kev said he was in the chat, but I'm not seeing him. Where is he? I cannot see him. Kev, go back in the guest room there, and I'll see if I can find you. There he is. All right, let's try that. Hold on. Add to stage. All right, are you there? There he is. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Looks like you're back. Here we go. All right.
Yeah, I could see you and I could hear you, but you couldn't see me, and I was backstage, and I was like, "Hello, hey, I'm here."
No, you weren't there. So something. There's I'll explain it off. I'll explain it when we're offline afterwards. Yeah, there's something I missed there. That's all right. All right. So I started talking about the Celtics, how they played Toronto, and they took 99 shots. They made 44 of them, which is 44%. But the more alarming thing is that 61 of those shots were 3-pointers, and they only made 21 of them for 34%. So this is what we've been talking about when they shoot all these threes and they don't go in. They were lucky to come back, in my opinion, and force overtime in that game and win the game. So, did you see that game or no?
No,
All right. So then, did you see the Cleveland game the other day?
I caught the end of it.
All right. So that game, I'll jump over to that game because that game they had a huge lead. and Cleveland came back, and I posted it because I understand now why you guys don't like that ref, Tony Brothers. Uh,
Yeah, I saw
it
that.
it felt to me. I mean, it felt to me like he was trying to like win them the game. I watched a sequence where the Celtics went down the floor like 2 or 3 times in a row, and they got called for offensive foul. And then the other end, Derek White got elbowed and got knocked on the ground, and there was no offensive foul. And I'm like, this guy is trying to win them the game. It was horrible. It was frustrating.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
that's what I saw. But for, again, for them, they blew the lead. I'm not saying the sole reason was the ref, because Frank, likes to say that they get bored when they get big leads. But against a team like that, where they're undefeated, I can't see how they would get bored. I think that the other team just started playing better. Does that make sense?
yeah. But the idea of shooting all the threes like that, you already know the code. Live by the three, die by the three, and yeah, they're. I can't say that they're doing anything that the rest of the league isn't doing. They're doing the same thing that Mr. Adam Silver wants them to do. This is the expediency of the game that they want. They want them to come down and chuck up a lot of threes. This is the way that the game is not these days. That's why I told you I'm not a fan of it. Sometimes I don't have the enthusiasm to watch it because it's so predictable. All the teams play like this.
It's frustrating. It's almost like a home run derby the whole
Yeah,
game,
yeah,
or a 3 point shooting contest the whole game. Like
yeah. It's.
I don't see
I've
any
heard the
more
players
inside
saying.
play.
I've heard the players saying that there's no more creativity. There's no creative play. There's nothing in the play that makes you go, "Whoa! Did you see how they were trapping this guy and how they were doing this and they played their I don't know the way that they're playing the game now. It just seems like it's pretty one dimensional. We're gonna this is how we're gonna play. Then we're gonna come down. We shoot them threes, and we shoot more threes than the other guys, and we win. Okay,
I think it's because there's no inside play anymore.
yeah,
You don't
can't
have centers. You don't use centers anymore
can't.
to post up down low and take advantage, or just like the old days.
You
They
can't.
use the center, and they well, the reason, I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but it's obvious the reason they can't is because you know they're all shooting threes now. Porzingis shoots more threes. He's never in the post almost,
Yeah.
right? And
And,
same
and
thing
when
with
he was Porzingis back in the day, whether it was with the Knicks or who, when he was down there on the block post, and he was always ended up injured, hurt. So it's like, oh my gosh, these guys are. Where's that bag with the thing? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
he's not soft, Kev. He's brittle. There's a
Mm,
difference.
mm, mm,
There's a difference. He's brittle. Well, again, the guy's what, 7'4", 7'3", and he's like 230. So he literally weighs like 20 pounds more than me or something like that. 20 or 30 pounds more than me. He should weigh like 250 or
yeah.
260 at that size, and then you can post up down low and not be brittle and break your ankle. But they
Only
don't
thing
have
about it, if he did gain some more weight, that'd be putting stress on his ankles, and he'd be hurt from the overweight.
And he
You,
wouldn't be
you,
able to run the floor the way he does. I mean,
you
he's
can't
he's
you
pretty
can't win
he's
with
pretty
these dudes.
fast. He's pretty
I'm
fast
sorry.
for a big guy.
Yeah,
No, but they all listen. I would say there's some hefty centers to an extent. Anthony Davis is pretty wide. Embiid's pretty wide, for low posting. If I had to
hmm
use an example, Jokic to an extent too. These guys all, well, Embiid doesn't really shoot threes, does he? But Jokic
yeah. He can
does.
shoot. He can shoot.
Jokic
He
shoots a
shoots.
ton of threes. So all these guys, and I look at the one guy that stands out to me from back in the day that was shooting the threes like that is Bill Laimbeer, and I think a bunch of them just turned into him.
Hmm.
That's what they remind me of, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's the
but
name of the game these days. shoot the threes, live and die by them. Everybody shoot
So,
them.
so
Stretch
that
the
game
floor.
that they played against Cleveland, so they knocked off Cleveland was undefeated, which I like. Uh, and it was one of those Emirate NBA Cup games. Do you think the Celtics really care that it's a Cup game or no?
No, they're this crap. No, no. I don't think anybody cares. It's just something. Again, they're adding these type of things to, just like I guess they have in soccer and other sports, where they have these inner tournament league type of things, incentive to win something else for. No, no. What the hell? I in what's the in tournament season thing, all that stuff. I hate it all. I hate it. Why? Play the freaking game. Play the game hard. Middle of the season, all-star break. Okay, let's take a rest or whatever, and let's come back firing and blow some dudes out and win this freaking chip. Nope, we don't do that anymore. No, not no. In tournament, in tournament
In season
game.
tournament,
In, I hate it. Doesn't why? For what? To play for what? For money, or to
it,
play for a cup that says that we beat you halfway or something? It's corny, 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 corny.
so when I was on with Frank last week, he was talking about they might try to bring like European teams over, so it could be a real World Cup type thing. And I'm against that. And then Joe Mazzulla came on and said, "Well, make it so the games don't count in the standings." And I'm like, "Well, how can you do that? You still have to play 82 games." So to your point, either you have a stoppage for like 2 weeks and have everybody in brackets and play until somebody wins it, and then you're putting all that wear and tear on those guys for 2 weeks for something that doesn't mean anything. What do they get for it? Do
That's
they get
right.
home court advantage? Do they
No,
just get $5 million a piece? What those kind of tournaments to me, and hockey's doing this too, and it's kind of frustrating. They do it in the middle of the season. Why can't you guys do this tournament crap in like July or August,
yeah.
right? And let the guys voluntarily play.
But
And
then
they just
all
had
these
the Olympics, right? They just
all
had the
these
Olympics.
but Steve, all these cream puffs are always talking about it. 82 games is too much. I can't play 82 games. It should be 72. Oh my god! But
What they
they want to get 82 money, but they want to play 72.
Well, that thing is, I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it so that, and I don't think it has anything to do with the cup games, but they're making it so that you have to play at least 65 games in order to be like the MVP or get this or get that. Uh, I don't really care about any of that. I hate the load management thing, but I think you're trying to shove a square peg into a round hole. You're telling me now that, okay, every guy has to play in the cup games during the regular season because those games count, and so you can't use your load management on nights like that. And so I don't know. I think the main issue that they're having is that in the nationally televised games, guys were taking games off with the load management stuff, and people are paying money to go see these guys on national TV. And so you go pay national TV money on Sunday at 3:30 to watch Jason Tatum, let's say, or Jalen Brown or whoever, or LeBron, and they're like, "Oh, it's a load management day. We give them a maintenance day. We give them a
Yeah,
today off." And then so all
right.
these people paid all these buku bucks, and these guys aren't playing. I don't know how the in-season tournament fixes that.
It
I
doesn't.
don't know if those games are mandatory. If they're not mandatory, then it doesn't matter. I mean, that's
It
stupid.
doesn't fix it, and they're not mandatory. They're crap. It means nothing. It's just we just said it a moment ago. It's for $500,000 or something like that. That's how much they get for playing in the insert.
Right. So for
insert.
guys like Jason Tatum or anybody that's making, 30 or 40 million a year, they wipe their butts with that. I mean, that's nothing. But
Yeah,
the other guys on the lower end of the bench, I get it. Guys like, 7 through 15 or, 9 through 12, whatever it is, the lower end of guys that aren't really making a lot. Yeah, it's important for them. But if you're the Celtics and you're in that cup and you're at the end of that bench,
hold up the shirt, Steve. Hold up the bag.
again with the
Sorry,
soft,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not
But
going for it.
those guys' goal should be win the championship and not the 500,000. Even though
I agree.
they're going to get money for winning the championship too. I forget what the purse is, but the NBA in general, I will say, is soft. I think just in general.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, baseball is bad too. The guy gets a hangnail and he's pitching a shutout. Oh, I have to come out. Like some of that stuff is just over the top. The load management stuff drives me crazy. I'm not a fan of any of it. I get it if you're an older guy like Al Horford. You can't have Al Horford going full throttle playing 30, 35 minutes a game for 82 games. He won't last. But for younger guys that should be playing,
And those are the
yeah,
ones that are crying.
and those are the ones that are crying, so they want to get paid. Sorry, that's my son. So listen, those guys, the younger guys are crying. What are you crying about?
They want to
You're
get paid
25.
80. They want to get paid 82 game money
They shouldn't be
and
doing that.
play 62
Yeah,
or
I know.
70.
Yeah, that just shouldn't be. Uh, I don't know what the fix is because I don't know enough about how they're going to mandate these things. But I don't like this in-season tournament. I think it's a complete waste. What did Indiana get for winning that thing? What did it help them in the seeding?
They get a.
They get a first round bye? No,
I don't think so.
they
They get
still
a
had to
cup.
play, right? Didn't they get? They
Yeah,
got the stupid cup and they got money. But what did it do for them as far as like, okay, if they were the
nothing.
fifth seed, does it mean they get to jump one up to the fourth? And so
I don't,
how
I don't
fair
think
is
so,
that?
Steve. I don't think so, Steve. I think
No,
it's
they shouldn't. They shouldn't. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is usually there's some kind of so like in baseball now they put in the rule that you can't have ties anymore. So you're allowed to put guys back in to pitch or whatever because they don't want ties. And the incentive is the team that the side if the National League wins the All Star game, then they get the home field advantage. Uh, so okay, right? But for basketball, I don't see what the upside is, and I didn't realize why that stupid Abu Dhabi commercial is on the Celtics games every 2 seconds until I realized it's because of the Emirate Cup.
hmm
Like, okay, what are they getting a trip to Abu Dhabi in the off season? What are they getting for winning that
no,
thing?
no,
I mean, I don't get it.
no. Just a cup and crazy looking floors that they play on. That's
The
it.
crazy looking floors. I don't like the new floors. I don't like them.
That's it.
They don't do anything for me. All right,
I think
let's
it's a mess. I think it's a mess.
Oh, I do have one more. I do have one question before we move off the Celtics. Jason Tatum is really playing kind of lights out right now. He's really been having a great year. And so yesterday, I saw that he's currently the odds of him winning the MVP. He's currently third behind Jokic and forgive me if I butcher this guy's name. Shea Hilgis Alexander. Is that how you say it?
Gilgis. Shea
Gilgis. Okay,
Gilgis.
he's behind those two guys. Where would you put him so far in the MVP race yourself?
Jason, I think he's fine where he is right now because, he's going to have, I believe, the opportunity to really come alive during the latter part of the season going into the playoffs. That's when he can turn it up and make his statement for how he should be the MVP in freaking the league. Right now, everybody's playing, getting acclimated to the season. So just play along with the season with 25 games in or something like that. So play along with the season the way that it is. Get to that halfway point, All-Star game, whatever festivities, and come out chewing dudes. Come out angry and firing and make your point that I'm not only just walking away with this MVP thing. We're getting another chip. We're blowing people out. They got something to say. So say it. But to say it right now, insignificant.
Way too early. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I'm in agreement with you. I think that they got to do it because of the sports gambling crap. They got to put the numbers out there, and then they got to oh he's third right now, and it's just for them to talk about. I think
Yeah,
it's too early because anything can happen. And I agree with you that later on in the year, if he's really serious about it, he can figure a way how to turn it up and go for it. But I again, I've hopped on this. I want them to win championships and put that stuff aside and let those chips fall where they may. If
yeah,
they get like, look, Jalen Brown was the best player in the Eastern Conference Finals and deservedly so, won the MVP, and same thing in the finals. I mean, so you got to let those chips fall where they may. He turned
yeah.
it up and won those awards, and you know if Tatum, it happens for him this year, then so be it. But you can't. I will say he sacrificed. I think Tatum sacrificed some of his game in the playoffs so they could win a championship. Everybody was hopping arms. Oh, he's not scoring 30 points, and but yeah, he's supposed to be the superstar guy. Listen, sometimes you can, you know, back up a little bit and let the other guys and help them and make them better. And I'm okay with that. He doesn't have to be MVP. He
Right.
just needs to help them win another championship.
Yeah,
If these guys focus on that, the rest of the things will take care of themselves.
I agree. That's it.
All right.
And like I
Again,
said, he'll get angry at some point. He'll turn it up because he's going to remember what happened with the Olympics. He's going to remember how they talked all that junk at the last season ending. 7 games. They were talking mad junk about him and Jalen. They were pooping on that dude big time. And then he goes and wins, and they're still talking junk about him. Then he goes to the Olympics, and they don't even play him. All of that's going to be fuel for him to like say, "Oh boy, I'm going to get you all. I'm going to get you," and that's what he needs to channel that and use that at that time. But right now, during the early part of the season, keep honing on your game, making those shots, slashing, taking it to dudes, letting them see that you ain't seen nothing yet. I'm about to freaking open up on you all. So play his
all right.
game.
Let's quickly move on to the Red Sox. I do have one or two things I want to talk about quickly because we've obviously overran as usual. So, Frank, sorry, we overran. Uh, okay, so the first thing is, thank goodness Nick Pivetta turned down the $21 million offer from the Red Sox, and so they don't have to worry about paying that stiff.
Yeah,
Hopefully, he'll go somewhere else.
yeah. Good with
But the
that.
Red Sox are still up to their old tricks, in my opinion. They signed some kind of utility guy from Kansas City for like 780,000, some minor league guy, and they also signed some catcher who was hitting like a buck 05. I don't even know his name or where he was from or what he was hitting, but the Ocean State dumpster diving, the Ocean State job lot dumpster diving continues. Uh, and the reason I bring that up is because Sam Kennedy had an interview yesterday with the Globe, Boston Globe, and he made some comments that makes it sound like they're going to go for winning this year and signing guys. And so I'm going to read this to you, and then I want to get your thoughts on it. Okay. His comment is, even if it takes us over the CBT, our priority is 90 to 95 wins and winning the American League East and winning the division for multiple years. He said, in reference to the Red Sox plan to invest in payroll, there is an extreme urgency internally to be competitive for the American League East Championship and to set ourselves up for deep postseason run in 2025 without question. He also went on to say that the team's hopes are to win a World Series in the next 4 seasons. What are your thoughts?
Uh, I thought you were going to say something about what he was talking about also, where he said that we need to spend some money.
Well, that was at the beginning,
Right,
where he says even if it takes us over the CBT, which is the salary cap,
right. He
or
said that
the
they need to spend some money. So I like his enthusiasm, but he's that first part of that article where he said that listen, in order for us to be competitive, we're gonna have to spend some money in free agency. We're gonna have to.
so
So
I get it what he's saying, but now all of a sudden there's an extreme urgency internally to be competing. It's like, where have you guys been for the last 5 years?
I agree.
Where was that urgency for 5 years? Where was that urgency last year when Tom Warner told everybody you guys were going to go full throttle? and then you
I,
signed like a bunch of bums.
I
So
agree.
to me, again, it's all just this drivel, chirping crap. And if you're gonna, if you now you, I don't even want to say put your money where your mouth is. Just show me something, do something. Just go sign me two aces, and then I'll believe what you're saying. But right now, I don't believe him still. It's like
And I'm with you. I hear you.
this
I
is
hear you.
like the
But
boy that
I'm
cried
just
wolf. How many times are we gonna hear this nonsense?
every year. You're gonna hear it every year, Steve. Why do you think I checked out? I told you this already. I checked out because this is nonsense.
What do
But
you think they?
if they are
What,
gonna try to say, hey, listen, Mr. Warner, we need to spend some money. We have to do this, otherwise we're not gonna be competitive. If
so
they
they
don't
met with.
listen to I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
If they don't make a change, if they can stay like this, they don't care if they don't have seats in the filled up in the at Yankee. I mean, at the stadium, they don't care. And if like you, I think you said it yourself. Once they start seeing that the seats are empty and nobody's coming to the games, and I don't want to do this, then they're gonna say, I think we have to do something. But right now, they're just, you said it just a moment ago, they hear all this all the time. They've been hearing all that. So if they're just gonna be talking this stuff, even after 5, 6 seasons, we've been saying the same thing. I don't see a lot of it changing, but it gives me a little bit of hope, if you will, for them to say, well, listen, we got to talk about this spending money thing. We just can't just flap our gums. We got to talk about it. We got to make some changes. We got to spend some money. But if they don't do it, well, it is going to be what it is. They're going to be stuck
So
right
they
where they are.
so they met with Juan Soto last week. Do you think that they
No,
have a legit shot to sign him?
no,
Nobody believes
no,
that.
no.
Nobody around here believes they have a shot to sign him, especially after, if it's true, the Mets offered him 660 million. How do you?
Yeah,
They're not going
no,
to match that. There's no
yeah.
way.
They're coming here. Not coming here. I think a lot of people are seeing that. The Red Sox used to be that. They used to be that team. Right now, they suck right now. They're going through their changes. Nobody's gonna want to come here, not unless you start showing them like they got this guy. I want to go play with him. He's putting up numbers. I want to go over there. They're doing some things over in Boston, but nobody wants to come here right now. Ain't no seats in the stands watching any of these games. They don't care. So no, we're not going to get anybody good.
Okay, let's move off of that and go to the poll questions. Where is my poll question?
Oh,
Hold
by
on.
the way, I'm sorry, I
Go
forgot.
ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we should have done it earlier, but I didn't make my pick for tonight. I'm picking
I
the
didn't either.
Steelers.
I forgot all about it. Who's
I'm picking
playing?
the Steelers in is it Cleveland?
Oh, yeah, Steelers. I'll take the Steelers. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. I'll take Pittsburgh. We'll get those. I'll mark that down here.
Okay. Now go ahead. You were doing.
Okay. Poll questions. Uh, do you agree with the Bruins firing Jim Montgomery? We had yes, long overdue, 12%. No, didn't deserve it, 0. Should have fired Sweeney instead, 62%. And it's the players' fault, 25%. You think Don Sweeney should be gone too? He's next.
Yeah. He should have been first, and probably the only one.
Oof. Okay. You know what? You're not alone. Again, 62%. That's a pretty big number. And I gotta say, uh, I've met him. You know, he's a nice guy. But uh, I think that if they don't do something this year and they don't make the playoffs, I think he's probably should be gone, because I think that over the course of the last, however many years. Look, I'm not going to go revisit everything. I'm just going to say if they can't get it done this year, they have to make a change, and it's unfortunate, but that they don't have a choice. All right, next poll question: should the Bruins make a trade now, as opposed to waiting until February or the March trade deadline? And we had yes, they need a shakeup, 100%, and no, it won't matter, 0%. So, like I said earlier, heads should be rolling over there. There should be guys that on the trade block, and the Bruins should be making it known that they're open for business. And at Monday's game against Columbus, I heard that there was 18 scouts there. So I think that the Bruins are letting it be known that, hey, we're gonna have, X guys are gonna be available, and you're gonna see scouts at these games, and we'll see what happens. But there's that, and then now we get to the predictions from last week.
Hmm.
Nope, that's not the right prediction. Where did it go? I got it right here. All right, so Frank had one. His was Jake Paul was going to knock out Mike Tyson in the second round. He didn't think it was going to go the distance.
Ha! What a mess.
Wrong.
Oh,
I
I
had
heard it
two,
was
and
an
they were both
ugly
wrong.
fest anyway.
What's that?
It was an ugly love fest.
That something. It was disappointing only because we couldn't see the old Mike Tyson.
Mm.
The first round or two, he was kind of his old self, and then after that, he just kind of lost steam. And that's what happens when you're pushing 60 years old. I mean, none of us are
Dude,
the same.
they were gonna hug. They were gonna hug before they were looking
Before or
at
after?
and before they even started fighting. They're looking at it like, "Hey, I respect you. I love you." Hug each other, kiss them. What the hell?
I saw it at the end that they did something like that, but I didn't see the beginning of that. So,
Crazy.
all right, the predictions from last week. I said the Bears were going to beat the Packers. I missed it by this much. Wrong.
I told you. I think
They
I
almost
told you.
had them. They almost had them. I mean, they had a chance to win the game with the field goal and it got blocked.
I
So
like the Bears.
they
I
were
like
right
the
there.
kid. I think it's the Caleb Williams kid that's making me hate on the Bears.
The only reason I picked them is because they fired the offensive coordinator. I thought that they would get a spark. That's all. I also said that the Patriots' new defensive lineman would get a sack last week. He did not. I don't even know if he played. I didn't hear his name. So, wrong again.
Yeah.
Negative Ned. Back to Washington General territory. And I have a wishful pick from you from a couple weeks ago that Tony Brothers would get kicked out of the league, and that didn't happen. He almost cost the Celtics a W.
No,
So
he's going to get a raise. Are you kidding me? They're going to
a
keep him
raise.
forever. They like that.
Okay, let's see the picks.
I think I had
Last
said
week's.
it. I think I said it in that post that you did. That he's making the league money. He's extending playoff games. He's extending games that shouldn't be won. He's good for the league. Adam
But
Silver
isn't that the
loves
same
him.
thing? Isn't that the same thing that guy Tim Donahue was doing?
Yeah, blowing.
So why isn't he fired then?
Because
They're covering it up.
they're making him. He's making the league money. I really believe he's making the league money.
He's making the league money, and he's making DraftKings money.
Yeah.
So when I see stuff like that, it makes me wonder if the refs actually get a cut. I mean, the NFL refs, I could hop on them all night long.
Do
But
you
every
think
time
that
I see
Adam
them blow
Silver
a call,
doesn't see this? You think that Adam Silver doesn't know about him?
what about Roger
he did?
Goodell? I mean, Roger Goodell, they have the same issue, both of them. I mean, it's so blatant in both these leagues.
Yeah.
These refs are missing these calls. I'm going to go to the NFL because the ones I saw where they missed the call or they didn't call it correctly is bullcrap.
Yeah.
I mean, I said it last week. If I want to watch scripted, I'll keep watching wrestling and stop watching football.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, when you have refs in both leagues doing that to, keep games close for sports gambling, whatever, or make it so that the league is making money or whatever it is. If they're doing that and the commissioners are not, they're turning a blind eye. I don't know. It's
So
not
he's
good,
not
and
saying
it's frustrating, and we're not going to
Adam
win
Silver's not
because
saying anything about it. Have you ever heard him say anything about what?
no.
Yeah, these refs would some of these we're gonna have to talk to them and some questionable calls. No, nothing. You don't
Don't they
have
have a don't they have a report after the game like the NFL guys do, or no?
but if they do, what's come about it? Nothing.
Nothing. They just say, "Oh, at this foul here, we missed it, or we didn't judge it right, or whatever." Blah blah. And they just write it on there, and then there's no consequences. They don't.
That's it.
They don't suspend the guy. They don't fine him. They don't do anything.
No, nothing.
And that's the same thing with the NFL. They come out with like this weak ass apology. Oh, we're sorry, we missed that call. Like, you cost the team the game, you jerk. What do you mean you're sorry? It's hollow. They're hollow words. I hate it. It
How
drives me
long?
insane.
Just within the last couple of years alone, we've been complaining about the dreadful calls that they make during the playoffs. Has anything been changed or been done
No,
about it? Nothing. So, like I'm saying, you don't think that Adam Silver hears these complaints and hears this and people up in arms? Oh, what the hell? He missed that call, and this guy he taking it personal, and he's someone looked at him and he's nope, you're out of here, ejecting people. So it's like he
I
sees that.
know.
He sees that. Cut it out. Cut it out. I'm tired of it. I'm tired. So I guess my feelings on sports these days are a couple of things: entitlement from these young players, uh, the crying for every little thing, every little foul, everything. I need this. I should be able to play. I don't want to play. I'm tired or what. It's just it's 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 nuts right now. I don't mind telling everybody that will listen or hear it that sports right now sucks. Sports, professional sports sucks. Baseball, and I was a baseball fanatic, but I can't even watch it right now. The basketball basketball fan from back when Cousy was playing his last games. I remember watching those games with my dad. Last games of Cousy and uh, JoJo White and all that. Havlicek, I'd seen it all. It's different now. It's ugly. They haven't made the game better. They haven't. They say that they have, and we have spectacular players, and they're so gifted, and they're more athletic and everything, and they do so much more. They're jumping higher and going faster, but they suck now. A whole lot of them suck. There's a lot that are good, but those ones that are good, like Anthony, what's the kid from Minnesota, Anthony Williams, or what is it? I can't even think of his name right now, but no, he's good.
Towns,
No, the kid that they compare to Jordan, Anthony.
Anthony. I forget his name, but I know who you're talking about. I
But
got a general idea.
he to hear some of the stuff that has said about the pros before him, and like there's nobody really talented out there back in the day except for Jordan. It was like, oh my gosh. So I just to listen to some of these dudes that are saying the outlandish things that they say, and they're on the court, and they want us to watch them on the court. It's like, I'm checked out. You guys suck right now. You guys are babies and entitled, and you got to hang there. When someone bumps into you, you're out for the next couple of games because you're gonna nurse your hamstring. We got dudes that we will watch them play with broken fingers and taped up hands because they broke something and pull their shoulders out the socket, they pop it back in, then they go back out there and play. These guys are wusses now. They get fall down and flailing all over the place, and they got to go out and sit out. Get out of here. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of sports right now. And it's kind of crazy that we're doing a sports talk show.
Well,
But
it's unfortunate that it's come to that, because I kind of feel the same way as you do about football. You know something? We're way over, so I don't even care anymore at this point. Uh, Listen, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a tangent with the NFL. Do you have any idea how many games are decided in the last like minute, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever, or they go to overtime? It's like 5 games a week.
yeah,
Every week. That makes me feel like it's scripted. Like that
yeah,
game, that game Houston played on against Detroit. They were up 23-7. I went to bed. I'm like, I don't need to stay awake. They're killing them.
yeah.
Wake up the next day. Oh, Detroit won it with a last second field goal. Blah blah. And Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions. Get the hell out of here with that crap.
Hmm.
You know, the Kansas City last week, they won because they blocked a field goal. The Green Bay this week won because they blocked a field goal with 2 seconds left. Like all these, every single game, they don't want people changing the channel, especially the primetime games. You watch games on Thursday night, Monday night, and Sunday night. Most of those games are all close games, almost no blowouts. You know why? They don't want people shutting it off.
Hmm.
They want people to tune in until the end. And I look at them and I'm like, oh, another close game. Here we go. And that's why it makes me feel scripted.
I can see that.
It's wicked frustrating. And so you want me to invest in these games, but they don't feel like they're on the up and up. And
Yeah,
the whole sports betting thing makes me feel like it's worse. It makes me really feel like it's worse than back in the day when the mafia was running stuff.
yeah,
No,
because
in the
it's
eighties
legal
and
now. Nothing you can
nineties,
do about it. It's legal.
I know, but what I'm saying is in the eighties and nineties, when you had the top team was like 12-1, and they were playing a team that was like 0-12, and the no-win team would beat the. It's like, okay, that's rigged. It's fixed. The mafia got their hands on it because they wanted to make money. They knew they were going to kill everybody. This feels kind of the same way. It feels
Yeah.
like because it's all legalized now, uh, everybody's got their hand making all this money, you know, and all the ratings for the TV is like, well, if the game's 30-0 and it's 10 o'clock at night, people are going to shut it off. You can't have that.
Yeah.
So that's wicked frustrating to me, and that's what makes me think like sometimes when the calls are like blown, no matter what time of the game it is, the one that really has me, there's two that really have me pissed off, and it's not because I'm a Vikings fan, but Sam Darnold got his head yanked. The referee was standing right on the end zone, on the line right there, and then said, "Well, there was so many guys there, we didn't see it." You're standing right there. You saw it, buddy. Trust me. And you're going to tell me that you can't use? They have that stupid replay assist thing where New York can
Right.
buzz into the ref and be like, "Hey, we saw this. You got to call a penalty there," and they can't use
Right.
it for that.
Right.
The one the next week when he got clubbed in the head. Did you see that one when the guy caused the fumble? He hit him in the head, Deacon Jones style.
Yeah.
Almost knocked his freaking head off. They threw the flag, then they picked it up. Oh, it wasn't a penalty. What? Like that makes me feel like it's rigged. You guys. So you're not allowed to hit the guys in the head for 3 quarters, but all of a sudden it's the fourth quarter. It's okay. In the first quarter, is it a penalty? Yes. In the second quarter, is it a penalty? Yes. But now it's the fourth quarter and it caused a touchdown for the other team, so now it's not a penalty. I
Mm.
don't understand. The inconsistency is pissing me off, and I get frustrated with the sports radio guys. Go, well, you can't blame the refs. The refs. You had plenty of opportunities to win it. Yeah, that's fine. But when they're obvious and they're blatant, that's what you're calling out.
Yeah.
That's when you want the fairness and the integrity of the game to kick in and be like, okay, there's something wrong with this. It needs to be rectified. Fix it.
Well, you said it at the beginning of your rant there. Well, they're not going to fix these things because it's revenue. The revenue is driving them to stretch these games out or make it go the other way or just make it to where it's like you know I don't know, the betting is just making things look askewed. Just saying. It doesn't look right, doesn't feel right. Uh, Back in the day, we had an excuse that there was no legal betting type of thing, so ref being involved with this type of shady type of behavior, it was definitely frowned upon. It was like, oh no, we can't do that. But now it's almost like no, we can't say anything because there's betting involved. Can't say anything. It's like what? That's that's crazy.
I just want them to be consistent. I mean, I want them to get the calls right. I mean, a face mask
Uh,
is a face mask. A club to the head is a club to the head. You can't just pick up the flag because it's the fourth quarter and the other team got a touchdown out of it. That's not right.
uh,
That's the part that makes it feel scripted or skewed. I mean,
yeah, I'm with you, Steve, but
and there's
I
plenty
don't
of
see, I don't see them
every
changing anything anytime soon because again, there's a money
they make it.
factor.
Yeah, I know. Well, what will happen is at some point, diehard fans like us, we're going to stop watching it because if it's not on the up and up and it's not on the level,
That's
uh,
me,
I can tell you right
diehard
now.
fan of all sports:
Yeah,
basketball, football, baseball, hockey. golf, soccer. I liked was a participant and watched all sports. Now I don't care. I mean, I watch some games here and there because I'm a diehard fan, but I don't care anymore. The enthusiasm's gone. They've lost me as a true fan. The leagues they have
Yeah,
football, basketball, they lost me.
I
Baseball,
agree.
I
I
don't
agree
even
with
put
you.
on a game.
And I don't think that I don't think that you can do that to the same level, except for the umpires with the balls and strikes.
Mm,
And that's another whole rant I already had. I mean, I want automatic umps, or I want them to put again. I don't know why we have technology up the wazoo. I've been calling for this for probably 10 or 15 years now. Why can't you have some type of infrared beam that when the guy steps in the box, it takes his measurements from his chest to his knees, and that's the zone. And when the ball goes in the zone, the infrared beam lights up, and it's a strike. You can put a camera inside the base, but you can't put an infrared beam anywhere around home plate. So when the ball goes through it makes some kind of red, like you have the stupid square box on ESPN or whatever on NES, and like I've stopped it completely and shown the ball in the freaking batter's box, and the guy calls it a strike, and I'm like, what the f are you doing, dude?
right?
How is that a freaking strike? It's in the batter's box. It's in the other. I bat lefty. It's in the other batter's box. How am I supposed to hit that? It's not a strike.
Right?
Like, wake the f up. And they have the stats at the end of the game. Oh, you missed, 10% of the calls were bad, and he's got a 90% rating, and this and that, and they don't do anything to him. And those
Yeah,
are the ones that want, and they wonder why the players, oh, you can't argue balls and strikes. I can if it's in the other freaking batter's box and the guy calls it a strike. You bet your ass
yeah,
I can.
yeah.
I mean, it's the strike zones are horrible. I mean, listen, back in the day, and you know this, we were watching baseball when we were younger as kids. The American League had a different strike zone than the National League, and both leagues had umps specific to those leagues. And so the National League calls for the strikes were always lower. I always felt that they were like closer to the ankles, and they were calling them strikes. Versus the American League, where they would call the high strike. They had two different things going on.
Right.
Now they lumped all the umps together. They have one standard, so to speak, for all of them that they're supposed to adhere to. And so they don't have dedicated umps per league. And they still don't, not consistent. They still have some guys that call it high, some guys that call it low, some guys that call it outside, some guys that call it inside. It's like the thing is just out of whack.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're going to test the robot umps, and I want them because I want that part of it taken away from the umpire. I'm tired of the players having to fight with them about the balls and strikes, you know. And I don't know why you have the square on TV that you can't refer back to and overrule this freaking call.
Right.
A game would take 8 hours if you had to do that, though. But there should be something in place now that says, okay, it's
That
in
would
this
be
square, it's a strike. Okay, it's not in the square, it's not a strike. Done. And the umpire doesn't have to do squat. Take it
right.
out of his hands and just have it automatically work, and then let the players play the game. And I also think that by doing that, it will also help speed up the game. It's not
I was
just
just gonna say that might make the game a little bit quicker.
you might shave off like an extra couple minutes, like not a half an hour or 20 minutes, but you could shave off 5 minutes maybe, 3 minutes,
Well, think about
whatever it
it.
is.
If it's 2 minutes extra for every player that comes up in that play, there's 9 players or 8 players, we'll say 9 players that are coming up and batting. That's if 2 minutes for every 8 players, we'll shave off a half an hour at the end of the freaking
Well,
game.
I think that per guy, you could probably shave off maybe 30 seconds or a minute. That's a lot. Maybe it's like 5 seconds or 10 seconds, right, for the whole at bat. But do something so that the umpire doesn't have to freaking, oh, check swing, go check the third base umpire. Like, okay,
Right.
check swing. How can you, like, maybe they still have to do some of that? Like, I would agree with that. If it was a ball and the guy checked the swing, then that would be a case where they would overrule it. But other than that, no. I don't want the umps calling the balls and strikes anymore. I'm done with them. They're too inconsistent. And I do need to get to the last week's picks now that we've been on a rant for a half hour here. Last week's picks, I get to you. You had 9 right and 4 wrong. You missed the Thursday game last week, so that's why you have 9 and 4. Frank had 10 and 4. He had 10 right and 4 wrong, and I had 11 right and 3 wrong. So I have been killing it. So as Frank likes to say, the Swami Junior thing. I have the Swami Junior thing with the picks probably for the last like 3 or 4 weeks. Now that I said that, I'll shit the bed this week.
That's why
My
he hasn't
French.
been on.
Now that I said that, I'll crap the bed, and this week I'll probably wind up under 500. But nonetheless, I think that's it. That's the show. Unless you have something else, Kev.
No, I'm good.
Thank
we,
you.
We did a lot today.
Yeah, we overdid it. Frank's probably not going to be too happy with this, but I had fun. I hope you had fun.
Always.
Thank you for joining. It's a pleasure to have you. And
my pleasure.
Do you have any last words before you leave?
Frank, we'll call you later.
Yeah, Frank, miss you. Hopefully. Oh, I do need to mention this too before I forget. Next week's scheduled Wednesday show is probably not going to be Wednesday because it's Thanksgiving. So we're going to try for Tuesday.
Okay.
So just to make a note of that, Wednesday is not going to work. Nobody's, everybody's in holiday mode.
Right.
So we're going to shoot for Tuesday next week. And hopefully we'll see you guys then. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for voting in the polls. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the support. We really appreciate it. Make sure to check out our YouTube channel. I'm posting the things over there so you can check us out, spread the word. Like, share, and subscribe. And that's it. I think I'm finally out of wind, out of breath, and out of hot air. And we'll see everybody next week. Thank you again.
Hoorah. Yeah.